Commander, it is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not a weakness. That is life.
When I saw that clip, I was like blown back because I must have saw this years ago now, and it always affected me. It always made me think about life and business, especially in a different light. It life isn't always about making no mistakes. It's definitely not. And a lot of people, they try and live life without making mistakes. I certainly have. I've tried to be a perfectionist in the past. I've tried to make things that I thought were unflawed or that people would like, and I would change them, and I would never stop until I thought they were perfect. And the problem is you never think they're perfect. And that realization from Star Trek, I'm not a particularly big Star Trek fan, but that realization that you can do everything right and still fail has dramatically helped the way that I look at the world. And I think it's improved kind of the things that I do, because knowing that failure sometimes happens inevitably. Sometimes it's not something you did. Sometimes it's not something you said. Sometimes it wasn't your team. Sometimes it wasn't your product. Sometimes it was the market or the timing, right? Like I've made videos before about some of the startups that I've attempted, and I've had exact ideas and literal prototypes of some $100 million startups, some $1 billion startups. I've had their same product, their same ability, but for whatever reason, it wasn't accurate. And sure, it could be me. It could have been my ability to sell stuff. It could have been my connections. It could have been I didn't try hard enough. I didn't work hard enough. It could have been the product wasn't good enough, right? It could have been 1,000 things. I don't know why some of those startups failed. But I know that sometimes you can literally do everything right and still fail. And so I think this isn't a lesson in being pessimistic, right? It's not a lesson in trying to learn to look at life negatively. I think it's a lesson in learning to embrace failure, learning to look at failure in a different light, learning to take failure as a lesson rather than a punishment, right? I play competitive PvP sometimes and shooters. I like to play different shooters on my Xbox, and some people get super frustrated when they lose. They get super upset. I'm there to play the game. I really don't care if I win or lose. I never have cared if I win or lose. But it just blows my mind when I see people that just get so frustrated, especially on a like 4v4 or a 6v6 type of thing, where they're one element in a giant pool of stuff that, you know, there are thousands of decisions being made in a game like that. And if someone loses, right, if the team loses, they're one of 6 people that could have caused it. Maybe they didn't cause it. Maybe the team was just better. Maybe there was lag. Maybe there was, whatever bullshit they want to blame it on. But the fact of the matter is that, like, losing is part of winning. You can't win all the time. You can't win every time. It's impossible. You have to lose some. And dealing with the losses, dealing with the failures is how you get better, right? When you lose, when you fail, there's always a lesson there. Sometimes you can fail with doing everything right. And when that's the case, that's the lesson. Failure helps you move forward, right? Maintaining your composure in times of extreme happiness, but also in times of extreme frustration, I think is really important for any human being on the planet. Not just in games, but in life. Not just in business either, right? I think that a lot of people put too much focus on the success that they want to have, the wins that they want to have, the things that they want to achieve. And they don't put enough focus on the journey and how to get there. And it's ironic because like this entire channel isn't based on the things that I've done or the things that I've achieved or the things that, you know, made me rich or famous, because I'm definitely not any of those. This channel is based on the shit I did wrong, right? Like everything I post is like when I made a mistake, when I did something wrong, when I learned something. And a lot of people don't realize that like the best content, especially, but the best advice, the best stuff comes from that failure. And you hear failure a lot because it's popular in Silicon Valley, it's popular in startups. You hear that failure is good and all this stuff and you should fail faster, and I believe all that, but it's become kind of cliche, I think, for a lot of people. And so a lot of people just they dismiss it and it's not as important to them, but they don't really understand that like failure is an integral part of doing anything, right? You are going to fail a whole lot more times than you succeed. And you have to get good at failing. You have to get good at maintaining your composure when you're failing. You have to get good at learning from failure and paying attention to why you fail, right? Because sometimes you can do everything right and still fail. And knowing that can help you have a different relationship with the failure. Knowing that it's not always your fault. It's not always your team's fault. It's not always an external thing or an internal thing, right? Because different personalities tend to blame different things depending on where you're at in life, emotionally or on your journey. And just realizing that sometimes it's nobody's fault. Sometimes everybody did everything right. Sometimes everybody absolutely performed to the best of their ability, and the failure still happened. And that's possible. It's life, as Captain said. So that's all I got for you. I hope you found it useful. If you did, leave me a thumbs up down below and a comment. Let me know your thoughts. Once again, my name is Tim Roswick, and I will see you again tomorrow.